In this video, have you ever heard that someone say, electric cars are far too expensive, there's no way I'll ever be able to afford one? Well, I think I've found the answer. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I have just bought the cheapest Nissan Leaf in the country. One of the original Leafs, and the car that I think personally kicked off the electric revolution. Let's have a look. Okay, so that's what I've bought. Well, I tell a lie. I'm actually just picking it up for someone else. I haven't bought it myself because I don't actually need another electric car. But how much did he pay for this wonder? £2,600. Is that cheap enough for you? Well, let's see how it drives. So what does £2,600 get you in 2020? Well, we have a 2011 24 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf. It has 80,550 miles on the clock. And I make that a bit of a bargain. I've said in the usual clickbait YouTube way that it's the cheapest one in the UK, but I actually genuinely believe that it is. Unless you're a trade buyer, I really don't think you're buying these for any less than this, especially not in the condition this one is in. It's got the odd little mark on the body, but I mean, it's really quite immaculate. It's 9 years old, 80,000 miles, from the highest mileage car I've driven, as you know, but you know, it's done some miles. It's done just under 10,000 miles a year, which is pretty good going for an early EV, which even when it was new didn't have a huge amount of range. So let's address the elephant in the room first of all. So this car has suffered from the infamous Nissan Leaf loss of range. So it's lost bars from the battery, and I'll put a picture on the screen now to show you what that means. And that's an indication of the battery state of health. So the battery is not at 100% state of health, and in fact we had this one checked with Leaf Spy, which is a third-party mobile app that can interrogate the high voltage systems and other stuff in the Leaf and tell you what's going on. And this car has roughly a 70% state of health. So 9 years old, 80,000 miles. The battery in this car is about 70% of what it was when it was new. I think that's definitely a bigger display of deterioration than you'll see from other cars. Certainly, I remember seeing an article recently where they weighed up sort of battery degradation in a lot of EVs, and certainly stuff like the Tesla Model 3 or the Tesla Model S, they score quite highly. You know, they don't suffer from a great deal of degradation. But the Leaf, especially these early ones, has a particular Achilles heel when it comes to battery degradation, because the battery is passively cooled. It doesn't have any active cooling, any water cooling to keep the battery temperatures under control, and that's when you start to see lithium-ion batteries degrade and start to fail on you, is when you are sort of doing like multiple rapid charges and they get hot and that kind of stuff. And you may have heard of I think a rapid gate, they call it, with a Leaf, where if you do multiple rapid charges in reasonably quick succession, the speed slows right down because it can't cool the battery enough to help it charge quickly, and that's sort of what you're up against. But so now the argument is always going to be, oh well, if the batteries don't last, you know, what's the point? But actually, it's 9 years old. You know, the average lifespan of a car in the UK is about 14 years. So this is more than halfway through its life. and it's 70% of its battery remaining, and that equates to a useful range of somewhere in the region of 50 to 55 miles, according to the seller. I'm currently seeing I've got 64 miles on the guessometer on the dashboard. The real world range is around sort of 50, 55 miles, and it depends what you want to use your car for. Will this do your 600 mile commute? Well, no, obviously it won't, but it wouldn't have done when it was new either. Will this let you scoot around town and, you know, go shopping and all that kind of stuff that a lot of people do have a little petrol car in the garage for, or even for some people they're just using, you know, just a diesel, and they don't do that many miles, but they've got completely the wrong tool for the job. This is the perfect tool for the job. You know, it's quiet, it's smooth, it has zero emissions, obviously, and you can charge it overnight at home. You know, you plug it in at night and it'll refuel itself while you're in bed. I think people underestimate the convenience of that. A lot of people talk about, oh, how long does it take to charge? Well, do you ever notice how long it takes to charge? Because chances are you'll plug it in when you get home and you'll be in bed while it charges, so the charging time's pretty irrelevant, really. So we're on the dual carriageway now, down at 60 miles an hour, and first thing I do notice is quite a bit of road noise, and I think I say that probably about every electric car that I ever drive, and the reason for that is you lose the noise from the engine, so you can hear a lot more of the noise from the tyres and the road itself. This is quite a noisy stretch of road as well, but it is surreal. The first few times you do it, you will be like, oh, it's quite noisy in here, but actually when what you realise is it's not. You have the same road noise in a petrol engine car, you just don't have the engine noise. So it's surreal. You're just sort of changing what noise you're being bombarded with. But I have noticed that the range is definitely impacted by driving a little bit faster, but we're up towards 70 now, and the range seems to be dropping a little bit faster than I would like, and obviously that is probably because of the sort of degraded condition of this battery. We've got less capacity than it would have had otherwise. I'll just dial it down a little bit back towards 60. We should be okay. I don't mind having to drive a little bit slower, and I think very much that, you know, an older car like this is meant for sort of occasional trips on dual carriageways and motorways, and driving around town. I don't think it should put you off either. It's not that much of a negative. You just need to be mindful of how far you can drive on a single charge, and, you know, go with that. Keep an eye on the range, and I'm sure once you get used to it, certainly the gentleman I bought this from said he knows exactly how, if he has to make a longer journey on it, he knows exactly how far it can go and where to stop for charging, and you just sort of get used to that. The person that's bought this, it's not going to be a concern. You know, they'll drive within its range every day. It'll get plugged in every night, and they'll never even really need to think about it, which is brilliant. It definitely seems good, and this one seems to be in very good order. Everything seems to work. This electric window on this side's a little bit slow, but apart from that, I can't really find much fault with it. You know, a couple of the alloys could do with a refurb, but any 10-year-old car, 9-year-old car is going to have that kind of problem. You know, a little cosmetic issue here and there. It's nothing to worry about. And you know, as we've learned with the Golf, sorting out window regulators it's a bit of a pain and it cuts your hands up, but it's easily done, and any idiot can do it. So it's nothing to worry about. But mechanically, it seems absolutely superb. It's got quite a short MOT. It's only got about a month's MOT on it, but certainly from driving it, I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to worry the MOT tester. So that should be pretty good, and certainly be sure to provide updates on how that goes. I'm not sure if I'll be getting it MOT'd or if the new owner will, but we'll definitely keep you in the loop. I think we'll do a little mini series of videos with this Leaf. You can see what it's like to actually own and live with something like this. You know, is it viable for you? And that's a decision you need to make. I definitely think that having an open mind, though, is a good thing. You know, if you're of the attitude that EV will never work for you, then, you know, there's not even really any point in watching, is there? But if you're open to it, I think seeing firsthand, or living through me at least, what you can do with an EV from the bottom end of the market, and see how viable or not. I mean, it might not be. We'll see. And, you know, it's far too early. I've only done a handful of miles in this one. It's far too early to tell whether it's actually something you could live with. It's also looking like I might be delivering this to its new owner. He's a good 100 miles away, which is way beyond the current usable range of this car. So that'll be an interesting experience, I think, to test putting the public charging network to the test properly, and, you know, not only taking a car with limited range, but then having to make sure the chargers are going to work and stuff. And really, all the stuff people moan about, and they say, "Oh, I can never deal with that." So that could be a kind of exciting episode coming up in the future. So stay tuned for that. And there might be a little bit more sort of general living with it type content before then. So if you haven't already, do subscribe, because I think this is going to be a good one. Seems quite well equipped. It's got a reversing camera, cruise control, air conditioning, sat nav, although it would take a bit of testing to see how in date the maps are. I hope they're not 2011 maps, but you never know. They could be quite interesting if they are. But yeah, it's got everything you need. I find that with a lot of electric cars. I think because of the price point they were having to be set at, due to the cost of batteries and all that kind of stuff, the manufacturers then also loaded them with all the sort of kit that you would get in higher spec petrol engine cars to increase the appeal. If you're paying 30 grand plus for a car, then you're going to want it to have, cruise control, climate control, reverse camera, all that kind of add-on stuff that, it's not essential. You could definitely live without it. I've driven many cars that don't have it, but certainly if you're parting with that kind of cash, it's probably, for some buyers at least, it will be considered essential. It'd be something that they would at least claim they can't live without. And we certainly seem to have it in abundance here, especially for a car that's this age. There's a lot of stuff that is now probably pretty standard when you're buying a car, but back then, not so much. I think you would have had to have been spending a decent amount of money to get half of the stuff that seems to be in here, which is good. It's great. Okay, so I've just arrived at an InstaVolt public rapid charger. We've covered 36 miles actually, got a little bit lost, had to take a bit of a detour, and we're showing 7 miles left on the battery, and I had a very helpful voice tell me that the battery range is low, and I've got it flashing on the screen telling me the battery level is low as well. So time to charge, I think. So that's us plugged in and charging it InstaVolt. Interestingly, the charger actually reckons the battery's 30% charged. So I'm guessing that's related to the loss of capacity. But if you've got an early Leaf with a dodgy battery, and you let me know, how does it behave for you when you plug it into a rapid charger? Do you see that kind of, it looks like it's already a lot more charged than the car's telling you it is, or what? Well, hopefully that'll get us topped up, and I'll be able to move it to the unit, and then we'll work out how we're going to get it to its new owner. But there you go then. That's the country's cheapest Nissan Leaf. It got me here. Range is, the guessometer might be a little bit optimistic when it's fully charged, but it definitely got me here, no problem. It seems like quite a pleasant thing to drive, nice thing to be in. But what's it going to be like to live with? Stay tuned to find out. And if you like what you've seen so far, do like, share and subscribe. Spread the word and let me carry on doing stupid things like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.